The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hello, my name is Anna, and if you're into scary stories and creepy real-life happenings, then I think you will love my podcast. Let me tell you a scary story. Join me every week as I read to you stories of the paranormal that actually happen to ordinary people. These are things that can't be explained and don't always make much sense, and they are sure to intrigue and to give you the shivers. So join me on your favourite podcast listening platform and let me tell you a scary story.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Angel, starring Donna Wilkes, John Diehl, and Rory Calhoun.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcasting After Dark. I am one half of the Pad team proper, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me, as always, my brother from another mother, Zach the Total Snackage Schaefer. And then we have our other brother from across the pond, David Irons. What's up, boyo?
Hello there, boys. Calling over from across the pond here. Just checking in, tally-ho and all that.
Chip, chip, pop,
I don't
pop.
talk like that. I don't talk like that.
Wait a minute, are you from Unit from Doctor Who? That's what you sound like.
Well done. I was actually thinking of the Brigadier when I did that, Zach.
Yes,
That's
the
pretty good.
Brigadier.
Well done, the Brigadier. Well,
Freaking love the Brigadier.
Corey's like, I have no idea what they're talking about right now, but that's fine.
I don't, but I was watching Halloween. I have this awesome supercut of Halloween 1 and 2 cut together, and I was watching it with Myra the other night. And the scene where Donald Pleasance, scares the little kids off. He's like, "Hey, kids, get out." Lonnie. And I can't, every time I hear that now, I think of you, David, because that's kind of like that's the voice you use when you try to sound American.
Really? Do you think so? Do you think that? Let me do. Hi, I'm David, and I'm American. How are we doing, guys? Here we are on Podcasting After Dark, where we talk about the retro movies and cult classics you love.
Wow,
Let's go.
That is absurdly bad, and I love it.
I know. I have to isolate that. That was actually pretty awesome. David, we had to have you on for Angel, and I told you for years.
Why?
I told you for years because you love this movie. And
I do love this movie.
And I told Zach, I was like, we are never, ever going to review Angel without having David Irons on it. Let's just get right into it because I think we have a shit ton of stuff to talk about in this movie. Real quick, my first time seeing it, I never saw it before 1984. I was 6 years old, so I never saw this. And I didn't have cable growing up, and I know this was big on cable and everything. Zach, before we get into David's, talk, Zach, what's your experience with Angel?
I saw it on cable back in the day. I vaguely remembered it, so watching it this time around was like fresh eyes. And boy, oh boy, so glad I could have that feeling once again for Angel. No.
Good talk. David, my man, why is this movie so near and dear to your heart?
I saw this right when I was a kid. Like in years ago, people used to go into like a TV shop to watch TV, like when the sports was on and stuff like that. People just used to go in there and watch like TVs in a TV store. I don't know, Radio Shack. I don't know what you guys have over there.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Yeah,
you know what.
We had those at one point, yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Service merchandise, yeah.
When I was a kid, my parents were out shopping, and I was like, I don't want to be doing this. I want to watch Danger Mouse. I knew Danger Mouse was on
Hell
TV.
yeah.
I was like, I want to watch Danger Mouse. And they're like, we're not going to be home for Danger Mouse. So I kicked off as a kid. I know, I was like, but I want to watch it. And
hey, Mom, I want to watch Danger
Mom,
Mouse.
I want to watch Danger Mouse.
Can I watch Banana Man?
Banana Man? Is it Banana Man? Or what do they say in America? Banana Man.
It's Banana Man.
Banana Man.
Hey, Lonnie, Banana Man's coming for you.
Lonnie, watch your ass. So I wanted to watch Danger Mouse. And my parents were like, look, we're never going to get home. And they said, right, let's go to a TV store. So I went into a TV store and said, can he just watch Danger Mouse in here while we go shopping? And the guy was like,
Hilarious.
yeah, fine. So they sat me there, and next to me was back in, this is like 86, 85, something like that, stack of VHSs. And the one right in front of me was Angel. And I was far too young to be looking at that cover. And I just always remember the tagline, schoolgirl by day, Hollywood hooker by night. And I was just like, well, I shouldn't be even looking at this thing right now. And then I obviously didn't see it. But then years later, I found it at a flea market. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And I had this weird throwback moment of, oh, yeah, Danger Mouse. I remember. Angel, yeah, Danger Mouse. I remember this. And I grabbed it, and at that point in time I started watching a lot of just a lot of like underground films, like B movies, like the Corman stuff, like the Penelope Spheris stuff, like Suburbia and things like that. And then I found Angel, and it just fits into that kind of category as one of those kind of films. And I just like, and it kind of went above what you'd think it'd be. I mean, you look at that cover and you think it's just going to be pure exploitation schlock. But I think it kind of elevates itself from that a bit.
Yeah.
I think there is some like really credible things to it, and it really stuck with me. It was just one of those movies that stuck with me, and I've wrote a lot of stuff set in LA, and Angel is one of those films that comes to mind when I think of like an LA movie.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's just one of those things. It's just kind of embedded in my heart. I love it.
Yeah, and to your point, I feel like the producers wanted an exploitation film, but what the director gave him or gave them was a very remarkably sweet movie and a very remarkably kind film, kind to like the streetwalkers and the prostitutes and like that, those kind of people. The people that are almost more exploited are the high school cheerleaders, in the shower scenes and stuff, which is like, I felt like they didn't need to include that. I'm happy that they did, but like, I felt like they were like, oh, we need to make this a certain way. But the director just snuck in this very well-made, sweet film about a girl and her weird, like extended family that are, I loved it. I'll just tell you now, like watching it for the very first time, it was not what I expected it to be. I expected it to be much more exploitative and much more sleazy, and I did get all the sleaze that I wanted, but I was not expecting the level of sweetness that I got out of it as well. Zach, what are your high-end like thoughts before we get into like cast and crew and everything?
Yeah, I want to echo all that. Shout out to Grace, by the way, from $2 late fee, because she loves this movie. Yeah. Equally obsessed as well, has met many of the people in the film and had them sign her poster, and she's got several copies of it on VHS. And I did an episode of favorite LA 80s movies, and this was definitely on her list of favorite LA 80s movies. It's grimy and gross, but you're right, it has like an after school special vibe to it as well, from the 80s, which is really appreciative. It's not on the exploitation level of Savage Streets.
Right.
But it would have been if it didn't have that component to it. And y'all know I love a good teen-sploitation movie a la Class of 84 or Savage Streets, et cetera, et cetera. So this definitely fits into that category, but it's like category adjacent because it has more of a respectable moral message to it, in the sense that poor girl's just trying to, live her life. But God, it's so great. And even the things that you could nitpick now and go, well, they use the same song 4 times in the movie. Well, we'll get to that later, but like those are all actually pluses in my mind.
Yeah, Zach, you want to take us into like the director and the cast and crew so we can talk about some of the individual characters that are all just so amazingly fleshed out.
Yeah, so you mentioned the director, Robert Vincent O'Neill, who died a couple years ago at the age of 91. God bless him. He'd been in the
good run.
Yeah, good run. Good run. If he had made it to 92, it would have been even better. He wrote Jailbait. That's so funny.
Not the Ed Wood movie. Jailbait.
No. This is Jailbait with C. Thomas Howell in it from 93. It's definitely a movie I've seen a couple times. A lot of he did Avenging Angel, Vice Squad. He wrote the script for Vice Squad, another film that has a great script and could definitely venture into just sleaze, but it's not. But as a director, Avenging Angel, he did a Wonder Woman from 1973. But it's not the Wonder Woman you would think. While looking into a disappearance of a high ally athlete, an insurance investigator is targeted by the sexy all-girl army of rogue transplant surgeon Dr. Sue. Wonder Woman. I want to watch this movie so bad now because it's only an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah, dude, looks awesome.
Anyways, yeah, Robert Vincent O'Neill, who also wrote the script along with Joseph Michael Kalla. But let's get into the credits. The cast. Let's get into the cast. Donna Wilkes. I think most people will remember her from Jaws.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. Jaws 2,
yeah. Yeah. And that face. Oh, guys, coming to get me. But I think this is like one of the movies she's mostly known for.
Yeah, because I think she was on Days of Our Lives or something before this, so she was like a soap actor, and then she did this. And then, because I was watching the Vinegar Syndrome documentaries that they have they talk to the director for 30 minutes, and they have a 12-minute with her, and she said she kind of got out of acting in the 90s so she could raise her daughter and whatnot. So, yeah, I think this and Jaws 2 are probably her biggest movies, because she's not in Avenging Angel, I don't believe, is she?
No.
David, real quick.
I was going to ask you about whether she said anything about that, because I'd be interested to know why she didn't do that, really.
She didn't even mention Avenging Angel in the documentary. David, did you see that? Have you seen that one? I heard it's decent.
Yeah, the second one's not too bad. I've seen these things. The sequels a long time ago, but I remember 2 being pretty good. I can't really remember 3, and there's a 4 that's just a completely different storyline. But the girl who plays Angel in 2 plays her in 3, so they kind of connected it across those 2 movies.
Oh, it's kind of like a sleepaway camp scenario.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100% there. Yeah, you nailed it. It really is. Yeah. So she's in 2 and 3, and 4 is what is 4? 4's like high class lawyer by night, Hollywood hooker. No, yeah, lawyer by day, hooker by night. That's 4. And it's a completely different storyline, and it's kind of unrelated to anything.
So it's almost like Daredevil then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was also going to shout out Donna Wilkes was in a movie called Schizoid from 1980. I don't know if either of you have seen that. I still have the VHS copy from back in the day, but it's got Klaus Kinski and Christopher Lloyd in it. If y'all never seen Schizoid, go watch it.
Who else is in the cast notable?
Oh gosh. So, I guess we should go into I'm going to go to the antagonist first, John Diehl, who plays the killer. Eggs. Oh, eggs. So I think most people would remember John Diehl from being on Miami Vice. He was one of the detectives on Miami Vice for the entire run of the show. He's awesome. And he still does like convention appearances and whatnot. He was at this Miami Vice reunion about a month ago. And he's tremendous in this. One of the highlights.
Yeah, as far as the antagonists go, like as a killer, he doesn't even talk in it up until the end, and he's very memorable, and anytime he's on screen, it's just he takes up the screen. He's kind of ripped too, and I'm like, oh damn, good for him, dude. But yeah, I always know him as the guy from Miami Vice, because as a kid I would watch that with my parents and everything.
Yeah, he was his partner. Like he and his partner were like the Crockett and Tubbs obviously were the main cops on Miami Vice, but they were like, there was the 2 female cops, and then he had his partner who was like, kind of pudgy with the Hawaiian shirts all the time. And they were kind of the 2 goofballs. Like they had the 2 tough female cops, and then he was one of the 2 kind of goofball cops, but he was great on that show, and I love him in this.
Yeah.
Cliff Gorman plays the detective, Lieutenant Andrews, and I guarantee probably nobody really has seen him in much, but I will say, if you've ever seen the movie All That Jazz, directed by Bob Fosse, and it stars Roy Scheider, it's basically Bob Fosse's life. It's amazing. It's a wonderful musical, and the soundtrack is so good. And Corey, you would like it because it's got a great female cast in it as well. All That Jazz. There's a Criterion out. If y'all are fans of film, you should get it because it's fantastic. But he plays kind of like he's like a stand-up comedian. He's in one scene and he's in one sequence in the film, I believe. And it's kind of like a Lenny Bruce kind of comedian, you know, where he's just doing monologues, and he's known for that. So when he pops up in this, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. That was like his big movie he was in. He's great in this, I think.
I thought it was okay.
Well, he's got that one eye.
Do you know what I was thinking?
Do you know what I was
thinking? I all the way through this, I was thinking, time frame wise, John Saxon. Imagine if you got John Saxon. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it's 84, Nightmare on Elm Street's floating around. They're doing that. They could have got him for it.
That or Robert Forster, wouldn't you say? Robert Forster.
Oh, imagine if it was I think Forrester's even better pick than Saxon, to be honest. I think he could have really nailed it. Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
And I'm saying this guy's not bad. Like he's fine. But I watched it twice again this week, and I was just like, time frame 84. What's going on? Who's around? And it's just
you know who he reminds me of is Eric Bogosian. You guys know that guy, Eric Bogosian? He was in that movie Talk Radio. He's been in a bunch of things, but like he's fine. Yeah, I agree with you, David. He's fine, but maybe someone a little hunkier.
A bit more of that charisma. Some more charisma.
Needs some charisma, yeah.
Well, and it's also too like because every other character around her is so unique and memorable. Even like his pseudo partner, you know, the beat cop that he brings up from the beat cop to a detective to help him out.
Fastest promotion ever. Hey,
hold my ice cream.
Do you want to get off the streets? Hold my ice cream. Next scene, full suit on. There you're a detective.
But even that guy is like a character. Like he's the most down to earth, sort of generic, you know, person in the film. Maybe outside of the guidance counselor lady, you know, although she's great. I actually like her. But I feel like those two are on the same level as being just very generic humans. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we needed some normal people to ground us. But yeah, there ain't no normal people in Hollywood. I'll tell you that much.
No. The next one's not normal. Susan Tyrrell, who plays Solly Mosler. She's got an eclectic career. She according to her IMDb, she's a self-proclaimed gypsy and outcast. But everything from Crybaby, she's been in some really cool movies. Crybaby, Whisper to a Scream, not the song, even though I love that song. Big Top Pee-wee, Tapeheads, another underrated VHS movie if y'all love, you know, video store movies. Rockula, which is great. And it's not great, but it's a fun rock musical with Dean Cameron. Just a bunch of stuff. And she's got those like iconic eyebrows or lack thereof in this case. And she's great.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I thought she was great. It's when you don't question people. It's like you've done your job well. Congratulations.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought she was fine, and I enjoyed her.
Yeah, she was always fun when she was on screen.
Yeah.
Dick Shawn plays May. He's your transvestite. Transvestite from Transylvania. Every time I think of transvestite, I think of Tim Curry. So, by the way, if you guys have not seen the recent interview he did about his career with Ben Mankiewicz, I think it was on 60 Minutes. It's so sad because, he suffered a stroke and he's basically debilitated, but he's still so sharp and like reflects on his career. And shout out to the transvestites out there in the world who, look good with the makeup on. But Dick Shawn has been in everything from, classic 70s movies to classic 70s TV shows. Laverne and Shirley, Fantasy Island, you name it. It's a mad world. He was on an episode of Monsters.
Dude, he plays Jack Tripper's dad on Three's Company. That's where I know him from.
Oh, that's right.
He does, yeah. That's it. I knew him from somewhere, and I just couldn't think. It's one of those I've seen you in 1,000 things and can't think of one of them.
Yeah, he's in everything. Yeah, and he was in Captain EO, by the way, the short film. He played Commander Bog in that. So,
and the director did say that he couldn't shoot Masters with him because he would never do the same take twice, so they had to have multiple camera setups when they shot him and everything. And he did all of his own stunts in that fight scene at the end. Even though they had a stunt guy ready to go, he was like, no, I got this, I can handle it. And that fight scene is amazing. But I do know that like this movie has been praised for its like positive portrayals of like the LGBTQ community between Solly and May. And I like, you know, watching it twice, I love the fact that, you know, I just want to say it now when we're talking about the characters. I love the fact that they never get derogatory with either of those characters.
Right.
I love the fact that even, Kit Carson, you know, even like treats May kindly. Like there's never any like animosity towards May or anything, even from the cops and whatnot. I thought that was it felt fresh even in 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the real Kit Carson would be the complete opposite of that.
Yes, you got to tell us about what you've discovered.
Well, I was going to say Rory Calhoun, who you just mentioned, plays Kit Carson in the movie, and I think most horror fans will know him from Motel Hell.
Love that movie.
Guy's been around since the 40s, though. He did a movie called Adventure Island in 1947, but he's tremendous character actor. He was in Pure Country in 1992. Yeah, for the rednecks out there, it's not a derogatory term, is it? Actually, it's not meant to be. But Rory Calhoun plays, he plays Kit Carson. If you don't know who Kit Carson's a real person, by the way, and if you go back in American history, and he's basically, and this is not taking it out of context in any way, shape, or form, he's basically an Adolf Hitler to the indigenous people of the United States. And there's a Kit Carson Park in Taos, New Mexico, right next to the Pueblo, which is like a slap in the face to all the Taoseños that live there and all the indigenous people who live on the Pueblo. Kit Carson was not a good guy at all. But, you know, in this, he is.
See, I didn't know any of that because I thought it was a homage to Kit Carson, who wrote Paris, Texas and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
No.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They must have known this guy. Like someone liked him. I didn't know any of this. Okay.
Not that. That's
news.
Look up. Yeah. I won't go into the, if y'all want to hear a longer diatribe about it. Well, no, I won't. If you want a longer story about it, go look it up on Wikipedia. Just look up Kit Carson, and he was not a good guy.
Was he an actor, or like what did he, or was he a part of the military or something?
Yeah, he was like a general or something. Okay. And then, you know, Taos, New Mexico has a really interesting history because the Pueblo that's there, it's one of the oldest standing structures in the world. It's considered, I think, one of the seventh wonders of the world because of its age. It's been there for over 2,000 years. And the U.S. military, Spanish came in and tried to overthrow it and basically made a deal with the Pueblo to kind of, this is like the shorthand version, made a deal with the Pueblo to basically, like, after the horrible things they did, kind of work together and bring religion to the Pueblo as well. It's a weird marriage, but then the United States military came in and tried to take over the Pueblo, and they fought, the Taoseños fought back and won with the help of the Spanish, I believe. And basically the military was like, okay, fine, you can keep your Pueblo. We're just going to take everything else around here. Mm. And there's a sacred mountain that the Taoseños have that the government took control of. But believe it or not, Richard Nixon in the 60s or 70s, whenever he was president, graciously gave the mountain back to the Taoseños, the Blue Mountain, which is where their ancestors go when they pass away. I know all this stuff because I worked on the Pueblo.
I did not expect this to be
this conversation.
Sorry,
welcome
this is your
to the history hour with Podcasting After Dark.
Podcasting After Dark presents Kit Carson.
Carson History Hour. Do you like racists? Come and join us today.
Yeah, Kit Carson was not a good dude. He was not a good dude. And, you know, to have like the park
you blown
there,
my mind. I didn't know any of the. I genuinely thought, oh yeah, the guy, the Texas Chainsaw 2 guy, the Paris, Texas guy. He's a Texan. I was like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense.
He was he's like a frontier legend, and that's why he's in this. That's why Rory Calhoun plays this like kind of sharpshooter guy, but he was, this was a time when Davy Crockett and all these other people were like, yeah, these American frontiersmen, they're so cool. But we didn't know the true story about all these things. And now we do.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyways, there you go.
Yeah, because he's referred to as a trapper. That's what they call it. Basically a frontiersman. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the Kit Carson character in the movie is pretty fucking awesome. And,
he's awesome. Rory Calhoun's great.
He takes a fucking slug to the gut and still fucking saves the day at the end. He's the hero of the goddamn movie.
Yeah, he is.
I loved it when he had a gun to his lawyer's head. I'm not going in no goddamn rest home. I was just like, that's the way to do it.
I love
You're
old
not
people
going
like
anywhere.
that.
I love people.
I want to be an old person like that. You know who also is badass is Elaine Giftos, who plays the teacher, Patricia Allen, right?
Yeah.
And
ooh la la.
Ooh la la is right.
Yeah, I liked her. She kind of had this she had even though this is 84, she kind of had this 70s hotness to her.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, Corey.
Yeah, and apparently
I
she was
felt
on she was on War of the Worlds, the TV series.
Yeah, that's what I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Otherworld, which we covered as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and no, I'm kidding. Anyways, I think that rounds out the general cast. Is there anybody else?
Yes, dude. I have to call out Rick with his, high school man or high school boy with a tuft of chest hair.
Oh yeah, by David Underwood. David Underwood.
Typical 80s, having like a 50-year-old person playing a high schooler.
Wow.
But David Underwood, his claim to fame is, do you guys remember that Sega CD game Sewer Shark? He was, and it's
him.
It's him. He's the main guy. the much maligned. It's up there. It's up there with Night Trap. Sega CD put out these two full motion video games that were like playable movies, but they were so terrible. Now they're like so terrible that they're great. Like, we love them. Yeah. But at the time, they were so like just destroyed by the critics.
He had the helmet on, didn't he?
The helmet.
The helmet. I can picture it completely now you said it.
It's him. It's him. Sewer Shark.
Wow, Corey got so excited his voice went up 3 octaves.
Now, Zach, do you recognize the guy in the car in the back seat when they grab Angel off the street?
Okay, I did, but I couldn't.
I know
place
you know this guy. It's a film you've spoke about and you love it, and he's in it, and he's quite he's one of the main cast. A Christian Slater film you love.
Was it Gleaming the Cube?
No.
Christian Slater, The Wizard.
No.
Heathers.
Come on. He likes to do a lot of talking into the camera. He talks to the camera like it's a character. Like, here I am. I'm hanging out here. My brother got killed, and I've taken over his detective agency.
Oh, Cuffs, right?
Cuffs. Yeah, he was the guy.
We love Cuffs.
Do you remember the big guy who says to him, right, we're going to have a fight?
That's right.
It's him.
So is it Joshua Cadman? Is that Spike?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think it is, because that guy's actually been... Yeah, it is.
Yes, he was in Cuffs.
Yeah. So he was also in The Sure Thing, which is great, and Surf 2, which is not, but it's still fun, and Going All the Way, which is not. Anyways, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because all these guys...
him in the nuts. He's like, take your shot, and he just kicks him straight in the nuts, doesn't he?
Right,
I win, and that's the end of the fight scene. Yeah,
Corey and I both love Cuffs.
You both love Cuffs.
That movie's great. And Corey, you're like, you said they all look 30 or 40 years old. They all do. They all do. Even down to like the guy, what's his name? The nerd that tries to pick her up. Pick up Angel.
Like 100% Revenge of the Nerds character.
Wayne or whatever.
Yeah, Wayne. Wayne. His hair looked exactly like my hair at the same time, but I was like 6 years old. And that was, and it makes matters worse if you actually look at the background extras when they're in high school. They actually have high school kids, and so those kids look like they're 12 compared to the 40-year-olds that are walking around as the main characters.
Yeah. It is really... a parent, and you're like, come on, you can get a little bit closer to this.
Nah, this was the 80s, man. This is how it was.
Well, it's funny, I always go back to this story now because it blows my mind. JW Fails, who is RJ in No Retreat, No Surrender, he was on an episode 2-parter of 21 Jump Street, and he's supposed to play a 13-year-old, but he was like 26 or 27 at the time.
Give me a break.
Yeah, and I'm like, JW, come on. He's like, yeah, it was bad. I was getting cast like in the youngest roles, New Leave It to Beaver, and he was like almost 25 or 26 years old.
Yeah. Zach, before we get into the general discussion, why don't you talk about the composer?
Yeah, so I actually interviewed him for $2 late fee back in the day, Craig Safin. And Craig Safin is known for, is known for the Safin sound. It's this weird thing he does. He talked about it in the interview. He did it in the movie Warning Sign.
Yep.
It's like where he reverses. He records something and then he like does it in reverse. So it's like this weird wow kind of thing. But he's known for that. Craig Safin has done Remo Williams. Last Starfighter. I think he's mostly known for The Last Starfighter and Remo Williams, but he is a phenomenal composer, legend of Billie Jean, and his brother is the one who sings on the Teen Wolf soundtrack, Win in the End. Win in the End. That's his brother.
He also did Corvette Summer as well.
Yeah, the guy he's a powerhouse of a composer. I was not a huge fan of the score up until the more dramatic, tense scenes where it gets a little bit more synthy. That's where I love it. I do, besides Craig Safin.
Doctor.
I want to talk about the Allies who do the song Something Sweet. And if either of you have any knowledge of them, because they were not really around for a very long time. Someone made a website called, it's just theallies.net with a ton of information about the Allies. A lot of their music wasn't finished. And so there's only a handful of songs that ever got released to the public, but they did another song for a movie called LA Street Fighter, aka Ninja Turf. And that starred Philip Ree, who I think people know as Tommy Lee from Best of the Best. It also stars James Liu from Big Trouble in Little China and Best of the Best. If you guys have never seen LA Street Fighter, it's worth checking out. They did a song for that called Come Inside. But Something Sweet is one of the... Corey's face the minute I said that. I was like,
AKA Cream Pie?
Yeah. But then there's... Wow. So,
hey, Zach, what's the definition of vagina? The box of the penis comes in.
Something Sweet, which gets played 4 times in this movie. Maybe shows you how much of a budget they had for their songs. I don't dislike the fact that they played it over and over again. It's just kind of odd to me that they played the same song over and over. It's a banger. And it's like quintessential 80s, in my opinion. It ranks up there with like Walking in LA or a lot of other kind of synth pop, new wave songs. But if you want to check out more of their stuff, theallies.net is the website you can go to. And it has the whole description about the whole band. It's very comprehensive. And I think that's pretty rad that someone took the time to do that. And I mean, come on, like, if a band ever needed a revival and like get back up on tour to like do a few songs or whatever, this is that band.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool. Yeah, and
you're really cool.
I know. I didn't love, speaking of the music, like I didn't love the song that it kind of opens with. Again, this movie's so weird. The cover makes you think it's going to be so sleazy, and then that opening song is so lighthearted and cutesy and everything. I'm with you, Zach. I wasn't in love with the actual like the score, but I liked that song that they played. I like the Ally song a lot.
That opening song reminded me a little bit of New Kids, where the score was very like a little too milquetoast at times, where you're like, this should be more dramatic, but
yeah.
I think you picked up on something earlier on, Zach, when you said about it sometimes feels like an after school special. And I think there's parts where they play into that, like especially like the college scenes, the school scenes.
Yes.
And it just feels like you're watching a movie, but you can feel it just feels like you're watching a theatrical film, but you can feel like schmaltzy TV movie of the week chewing at the edges of the film. And it's like, are you going to go there? Are you going to go into that territory? And the score starts playing up to that. And it's like, it's going to go there and be schmaltzy, but then it just slowly goes away. And it's like, oh, thank God for that. Just saved myself from that one. It could have been that's what I mean with this film. There could have been things about it what they could have been a lot worse in either direction. It could have been too schmaltzy. It could have been too much exploitation, and it's quite offensive. But I think it plays everything to the degree it should be played for this film. It plays everything. Every tone is hit perfectly the way it should be for a nice balance.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have, Hollywood Boulevard as the backdrop for probably, at least a third of the film. And they shot that all guerrilla style. So, those are not extras in the background or anything because they did not have the budget for that. So like when Donna Wilkes is running down the street with a gun in her hand, those are people's like real reactions to that. She was even talking about the fact that like, she was afraid that someone was going to be a hero and actually try to, take her down type of thing. But, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, oh man, Ty West with Maxine. I know he had to have like watched this before filming Maxine.
He's
because
100% seen this.
Yeah. But David, talk about, and especially as someone, watching this from the UK, talk about how Hollywood is portrayed in the early 80s and like, what was the sense that it gave you?
That's a very good question because it's that thing, yeah. When you look at certain, like regionally, being a kid in the UK, you looked at American things and you just saw America. You didn't really think about where things are like now, like, East Coast, West Coast, anything like that. And we got a lot of things, and it's all kind of TV-ish, like Saved by the Bell, safe kind of American things. So it always had that kind of glitz. Like you think of America, just like America as a whole. And it's like, oh yeah, like stars and stripes, palm trees, blue skies, it's always sunny, that kind of thing. And a film, and I've spoke about this before, that kind of went against the grain and everything's like clean and everyone's friendly, like that kind of thing. And it's a porn movie. And there's a connection to Angel in it actually, because do you remember, when they go to the cinema in this, the porn, and you see the porn film on the screen,
Yeah,
and it's Honey Wilder in that clip, and Honey Wilder was in a film called Private Teacher, and for the first 10 minutes of Private Teacher, you get like a tour around LA with like someone going, oh, and here's the tale of the pub restaurant. Here's the Olympic stadium. Here's this, here's that. And they show you, and it's just like, okay, yeah, that's America, that's LA. And then they go to like, and here's Hollywood Boulevard. And you just see like fucking guys like eating garbage out the gutter. And it's like, whoa, what is that? And I'd never seen that side of America on film before. And it was like, I didn't know that existed. And films like Angel and Streetwalking, which is another film, which is very similar to this, like a year later, they delve into that sleazy side of like America. And it was just something that, yeah, over in the UK, you didn't see, because we only had 4 channels. We had 4 channels and VHS, so you'd only get select things from America to watch. So when you see something like this, it was a completely different reflection of the safe kind of side of things. You just see like TV stuff like over here, stuff like Small Wonder, like that thing was like really popular, and you'd see that, and it's all just like this, oh shucks, kind of American, Alf, things like that, and you're like, oh okay, yeah, that's America. And then you see this, and it's like a completely different landscape that you didn't expect. And that's what attracted me to this. When I saw this, this was like, it's almost like for you guys, like when I was watching it yesterday, I was thinking for you guys, this just looks like a reality. At one point in time, you lived in this reality.
Yeah.
But for me, it's as far out as a fantasy film, like Lord of the Rings. So I'm like, it's such an alien thing. It is though. You look at it, it's just like a landscape I don't understand. I've never experienced this landscape, but it's kind of attractive because it's like, you've got this neon, you've got the palm trees, you've got, there's this side to it. It's like, wow, what is this thing? And so from being here, it was just like experiencing something I'd never experienced before. And I think this could, like you say, this could have been real sleaze. This could have been something really nice. You see other things like, it's not dressed to get, Strip to Kill. Do you remember Strip to Kill?
Oh, yeah.
And that's like really like down and dirty, that kind of thing.
Right.
And there's no memorable characters there or anything else. But there was this, even with Angel, you get this strong sense of community with people like out on the street doing this thing. There's like hustle and bustle, but there's something, there's more of a feel of community with people there. It was interesting. It's interesting now looking at watching these kind of things and seeing that, because it's something over here. It's just completely different to that. Like there's nothing. I live in Brighton, and Brighton's kind of like something like that a little bit. But like seeing this for the first time, it's just like a completely different version of America I've never seen before. And I love
feel
it.
like
I'm just really attracted to it.
I feel like it's still pretty accurate to what Hollywood Boulevard looks like today, minus the community feel. So it's still pretty grimy and dirty, yet no one cares about each other because this is the way our country is, unfortunately. But it is LA, like Hollywood is like that still. You walk down that street, and I look through I go down there fairly often, and I see tourists coming in with those eyes like, oh my God, I'm in Hollywood, and this is the Walk of Fame, and this is the famous theater where they shot blah blah blah, and I'm like, yo, but unfortunately they got the guy with his pants down taking a dump in the trash can, and you're like, oh, how do they feel? I feel like I'm embarrassed for them, and I want to be like, sorry guys, you can go to Santa Monica. Well, maybe not Santa Monica. Well, you can go to no, maybe not. No, there are pockets of LA where you can have that. Oh, gee shucks, gee willikers. This is still like a fantasy, but Hollywood Boulevard is very much a reality. And I feel like this movie captures that really well then and now. Like, I think it still plays well now.
Yeah. And Zach, I'm sure you can attest to this as well, growing up like around Detroit and whatnot. Like when I was a kid on the East Coast, I still, David, almost the same view, and like how you have of America is what I had of California.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, okay, that's what California looks like, just like the cover for the California games, the NES game or something. Like that's what California is.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, and like that's it.
Yeah, that's America. Like for me as a kid, that's America.
That's all of America. For me, that was like.
Yeah.
And so in the 90s, right when I graduated from high school, so I think it was like 97 or maybe the summer of 96, my friend and I went out to LA. It was like a part of this thing where it's like, we want to go to film school. And so UCLA sponsors it, and you pay them and you stay at the dorms at UCLA for like a week, and they go take us to different things. And we saw a taping of the pilot episode of That 70s Show, but we had one day where we could do whatever we wanted. And this is obviously before Uber or anything like that. And we had no idea how to do, buses and stuff. So we're like, oh, we're on Hollywood Boulevard, or Sunset. Like, it's UCLA's on there, but it's so far away. But we were like, we'll just walk. We'll just walk down. But it's like, Zach, it's like 10 miles or something. It's like 7 miles. It's ridiculous. But we walked we wanted to see the Ford Fairlane stuff. So we walked down the crossroads of the world and stuff like that. But we
walked there from UCLA,
yes.
That is like a couple hours.
Yes. It was a whole day, but we're 17, 18, we had the ability to do that. But even then, growing up in America, David, it's like we still had no concept of just how big Los Angeles is and everything. And it was very, very, very eye-opening in some places. But Zach, I'm with you. I think this movie, having lived in LA and visiting it recently, with you and whatnot, we go to conventions. It still looks the same. Like, might visually not look the same. Like different buildings are there.
Yeah,
but it still has that same vibe. And you also got to figure, Zach, 4 years from now, in 1984, 4 years later, my wife was born, and she grew up on basically on one of the streets off of Hollywood Boulevard. So like that was all of her experience as well. Hence the reason she doesn't know how to ride a bicycle, because why the hell would she ever learn? Like, why would her parents let her go out and learn how to ride a bicycle out there? It's so fucking dangerous. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting that this, there's that song, Nobody Walks in LA, right? Which is so true because people drive everywhere. But this movie came out in what, 84?
84, yeah.
Yeah, so 1 year prior was Valley Girl, and Valley Girl's represented very similar, but it's also like in the romanticized version of Los Angeles versus the gritty, and while they do have the streetwalkers and the, unhoused people and whatnot there, it's portrayed in a way like, hey, it's just part of the riffraff. It's all good. We're going to the club to watch the Plimsolls. I'm going to fall in love with the girl from the Valley, versus now where you're like, then it gets serious. Right. And then you take a movie like Vice Squad, where injects a little bit of steroids into this story with, Wings Hauser, and makes it even more amped up. But this movie has like a really interesting tone in the sense that it gets that down and dirty grime, but then like where Angel lives in her dilapidated apartment complex, her apartment is very nice. And there was one point in this movie, by the way, where she goes in her apartment and I'm like, oh, she must not live with May or near them. But then you realize, no, that's in the same building. Her place just looks really saccharine and sweet versus the other places that don't. It's just an interesting contrast.
David? Yeah, no, I just
Fuck you both.
No, I think Zach, the way Zach described it then, romanticizing it, and I think I know exactly what you're saying. That's it. Like you see that Valley Girl side of it, and at the same time, you have the Angel side of it, and the Angel side is full of sleaze and everything else. But there's it's like sleaze, soulful sleaze. There's a soulfulness to it. Like at the beginning, that community feel when you see someone and they're like cleaning the stars.
Yes.
On the Hollywood Boulevard, yeah, they're like, "Oh, hi, Angel," and it's just like there's this huge city, and then there's this small kind of there's Angel walking to school in the morning. It feels like a small town feel in LA, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of interesting." But I think that's what plays through all of it, and I'm going to skip ahead a bit with this, but like when I watched it again the other day for the first time, I got to the end, and I was like, Angel should have 100% killed the killer. She should have been the person to shoot him in the head. And I was like, I felt Savage Streets syndrome, where it's just like, you kind of get to the end and it's like Linda Blair just turns into a gibbering wreck and running around like a scream queen. And with this, and she kind of doesn't do the job she set out to do in Savage Streets. But like in this, it was like, I felt on that first rewatch, Angel should have killed the killer. But then when I watched it again, and the threads are all there. And when she's talking to the detective and he's saying like, "Oh yeah, have you always been waiting for your dad to come home and make everything all right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, I don't think he's going to come back." And then at the end of it, it's kind of interesting because you see Angel and Kit Carson and May walking off like at the beginning of the film, like a family unit. And at the end, when May's gone, you see the detective walking off in the place of May. Like he kind of was that father figure who came in to save her, like she'd always wanted. And I kind of forgave it for that on the second viewing. I was like, it's not that. I personally would have done it differently, but I get what they gave. It's about a family unit. It's like you're in this big city and all this sleaze and all this stuff, but you've got this close-knit family unit that you've created for yourself. And I think as Angel as a character is kind of interesting because she's someone who's just out there. She was left at 12 years old, and you're saying she's got this really nice place. You go in there, it's a really sweet, but that's everything she's created. She creates all these things around her.
Right.
And and at the end, with that cop, she gets the father figure and creates a new family unit. And I appreciate it for that. But at first, I was like, she should have killed the killer. She should have killed. But when I saw it again, I was like, I'm going to let you have this. Because you did earn it, because you did put those threads in there for this to happen.
Well, and also, David, I'm 100% with you. I was kind of shocked the first time I saw it that she didn't kill him. And also with you, that was the one thing I really didn't like about Savage Streets is how weak, Linda Blair's character goes at the end. It's like you want her to be the Terminator and just do it. And then the moment it doesn't go her way, she just crumbles. And I was just like, even the review, I was like, oh, that's weak. But here, I think going to her not having to kill the killer and letting Kit Carson do it. There's multiple times where her surrogate father, the detective, tells her that, like, you got to pay for everything. Everything in life you got to pay for. And she even says later, like, nothing is ever wasted type of thing. There's these big moments that I really like what these ideas that he's passing down to her, like fatherly. But the idea that you have to pay for everything, whether it's now or later, you're going to have to pay for it. So knowing that the character with that mindset is going to have to pay somehow for this hard life that she's lived and everything like that, do you also want her to have to pay for the killing of the antagonist at the end? Like, do us as a viewer want to add that to not the rap sheet, but like just to the receipt,
the grief
yeah,
that she's had to deal with.
She's already had a tough life, and looking at it now, I'm like, it's almost like a niceness that Kit Carson took that responsibility away from her that she doesn't have to, that doesn't add that to her plate, you know?
When I was watching it, like let's say the first time afterwards, I was like, if he was going to read, like at that moment after that first rewatch, I thought at that point a satisfying way to do it would be when she goes to the warehouse with Kit Carson and he's showing her all the pictures around there and he's going, oh, this is my favorite cowboy, this is my gay favorite cowboy. I was just thinking you could have just had one moment there where she turns around to him and says, so who's your favorite cowgirl? And he goes, oh, cowgirls, something like this. Yeah, just something like that there. And then we move on to the end because the cop kind of lets her down quite a few times through this. He really does. He's like, he doesn't do his job as he should do. And I was thinking a really good way to end this would have been if the cop would have been trapped behind one of those chain link fences. He couldn't get over. Kit Carson's down and he's been shot. But then Angel picks up the revolvers, kills the bad guy. And then Kit Carson's kind of staggers over and he says, you're my favorite cowgirl. Something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just to kind of round it up. Like she solved all of her own problems in that story. But on the second time when I was watching this, she'd solved all the problems in her life. She'd been left alone. She'd become a prostitute. She'd done all these things she didn't want to do, but she just needed someone else to solve some problems in her life. She wanted that dad to come back. She wanted someone to be there for her. And it does work, having that cop step in and do this. Even though up until then he's completely failed. But I think he's kind of a representation of the dad. The dad's failed. He's always failed, but she still wants that to give him that chance to come back. And the cop steps into that role to make that happen for her. And I think it is quite satisfying. It's not like Street Talking at the end of that. It's basically the same kind of thing. But it's a pimp who goes crazy and he wants to kill one of the prostitutes working for him. The prostitutes have to get together and kill the pimp. And at the end, it's satisfying to see those girls who is abused kill the pimp. But this is a completely different film to Streetwalking. Same subject matter, but completely different ethos to get to that end point. Because it's not about... Angel's already done it. Angel's proved she can stand on her own, but she just wants someone to stand up for her because she's never had that. She's never had parents. And I got it. The second time now watching, I was like, yeah, it does. It is fulfilling, but not in the way you expect it to be.
I think it's also to maintain her innocence too, that if she kills someone, then that's the ultimate end of innocence.
She lost that a long time ago, pal.
No, that's very true. I know. It's like that's another thing too. This film kind of teeters on the, clearly she's had sex with guys. And
she says 12. She says from 12.
Yeah.
She's been doing this since 12 years old.
But there's this weird, like, fortunately they don't really show anything. And when they have the opportunities to show her with a John, she ends up calling one guy out because he's a cop, and then the other guy... By the way, and this just sparks. By the way,
I can't believe we missed this. In the
one John that maybe the greatest cameo I've seen in quite some time.
Oh, your man,
Peter Jason, rest in freaking peace. The wonderful, wonderful Peter Jason, who is nothing but gold whenever he's on screen, shows up for a literally 2-minute scene.
And it's the sleaziest thing I've ever seen him do, too.
Yeah. He is a scumbag, but he plays the scumbag like I was hoping that he would do the air trumpet at one point from Prince of Darkness. Y'all don't know who Peter Jason is. Why the hell are you listening to this show? Peter Jason, rest in peace again. Just gold in this, and it's a pivotal scene, but it is like one moment in the scene where you're like about to maybe see Angel go a little darker than what you've seen up until this point, but fortunately you don't. And I don't know why I'm going into a Chicago accent, but it is the way that it is. But like, it's hilarious when Peter Jason shows up because you're like, oh, my man.
I do want to go back to the detective. It is interesting, this movie, doesn't follow a lot of these standard, like what you're going to expect to see. Like I expected the detective to take the final shot at the end, and it's not, it's Kit Carson. And, even in that shootout in the police station, which blew me away. I was like, holy
that's amazing.
Shit.
Yeah, great moment.
Unreal.
But what I liked even more was when he was driving, Angel, a.k.a. Molly, back home. He was trying to light his cigarette and his hands all shaking and everything. And I'm like, that's like, it was showing, obviously, some of it's the adrenaline wearing off and everything like that, but he was scared. I mean, it was a shootout, and it was like, it made him human. It gave him like this human moment. And even, Molly saw it, and she was like, and he even mentions like, oh, it's the second time that, I've seen something like that. And she's like, well, what was the other time? And he's like, he didn't want to say. He doesn't, he just moves on.
Right.
And I love that moment because, an 80s action movie, the cop would have been like, well, cop would have killed him, but, no problem. At the end of this, it's like another day working in the Hollywood beat. We have a shootout. But here he was affected by it, and I liked that. I thought that was a really cool character moment.
Yeah, agreed.
I think something else which was kind of interesting is the way, I mean, like with the killer, like, what do we know about this guy, the killer? I mean, he's called the Killer, and we see some shots of him, and we know he's a psychopath. We know what he's into just from watching his actions. But something that's quite interesting is the editing in this film and how it goes from, I mean, there's almost like a symbiotic relationship constructed through editing between the Killer and Angel, because you kind of go from, if you look at it, especially in the beginning, you see a lot of it, and a lot of their scenes kind of mirror one another. And you see Angel, the point where it kind of hit me, I was like, okay, there's something going on here. And the point when you see Angel, and she's, like you say, she's created this really nice world for herself, and she's living in this nice apartment, and you see her looking at the picture of her dad on the wall, her and her dad, and then you cut immediately to the Killer, and he's living in this just like shithole, dark painted walls, it's greasy, it's grimy, it's sleazy, and then he's looking at a picture of his mother on the wall.
And eating an egg.
Like, and eating an egg.
To an orgasm.
Sucking, he's sucking the egg.
Yeah.
He sucks the egg, and then he puts the entire thing in his mouth, shell included. Amazing.
Good God.
No, but they kind of mirror each other. It's just like if Angel hadn't have stuck up for herself and created good things in her life could have easily been the life of the Killer, just living in sleaze and misery. But she kind of went the opposite way, and it's kind of like a light side and a dark side living in this same city, and slowly they meet each other and interact, and they're both on the street, like she's out there looking for a man, he's out there looking for a woman, and it's kind of interesting. There's lots of things in there, like scene to scene, that mirror one another, but they're like almost like the negative of the first one. Like you have the first scene, then like the inverted version is his scene of Angel's scene, and I thought that was kind of a good way, because he's kind of a paper thin character, really. But when you got this like reflection of one another, it gives it a bit more depth, and you feel a bit more for what's going on.
You point out the editing, and you mentioned the editing, and I totally agree. I think it's worth noting that the editor's name is Charles Bornstein. If that name sounds familiar, he's the editor for Halloween, The Fog, Return of the Living Dead Part 2, Critters 2, Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund. Sometimes they come back, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, The Fog and Halloween, I mean, there you go. Like, one of the best things about Halloween, one of the many best things about the original Halloween is the editing. So, and the editing makes it so much better. And also, like to your point, David, emphasizes the importance of editing in a movie like this, and showing the juxtaposition between the two lives that are going on and the parallels, and props to John Diehl, by the way, who looks like he went just full on shaved his head legit.
Yeah.
And,
he did, yeah.
Way before what's her face from La La Land in her new movie where she shaves her head or whatever. You're like, people did that back in the day. It wasn't just Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta,
or G.I. Jane,
right? Like, oh man,
or Alien 3, Sigourney Weaver.
That day on set, though, that day when he shaved his head on set, if I was him, I would have been like, "No, are you sure you've got everything?"
The camera's rolling. You're not fucking anything up and everything.
Yeah. We're not going back on this. This is it. Like, we're not refilming anything from this point. Right. Have you got everything?
Yeah, and David, you mentioned like the character's pretty thin, and even the detective gives like this like Mindhunter description of like what they think his deal is. We don't know how much of that is true or anything, but he John Diehl does such a great job with that character that it kind of doesn't matter. He's just he's not faceless, but he's almost like a Michael Myers sort of killer, where there's no other personality to him besides sucking eggs to orgasm and then killing and everything.
Well, Corey, because of who he's targeting,
Yeah.
The photograph that David was mentioning.
Yeah.
That's all about his Oedipus complex, right?
And you also know. I mean, that's what the thing is. Like when the detective like rattles off all the things they think is wrong with him, I think they are pretty accurate. I do believe that they're fairly accurate. That one shot where he's like washing himself while standing there and the camera like dollies back, like what an amazing, like, what a beautiful shot with the neon in the window and how dark it is. Like that was like such an amazing shot. In such a low budget film, they did not have a budget for a dolly track, so they basically just jerry rigged a wheelchair and made like a little Steadicam wheelchair scenario because they were shooting on I believe an RE camera where you only have about a few minutes of footage. So there's no real master shots in this film because they don't have the like the can only hold like 5 minutes of like footage versus like bigger cameras can hold more film, which means you can get longer takes. So every take in this movie is only like 2 minutes long because that's all they could do, but you don't really notice it, and it looks so good. One talking point, Zach, that I want to go to is Kit Carson's warehouse apartment. Dude, we've talked about this before. Movies like Trancers, Vice Squad, Ninja 3, The Domination. I love movie apartments, and I'll call this like one of the movie apartments, and this is one of the cool ones. Like this one is so cool. It's like this apartment / shooting range that he has in there, and the fact that it's punctuated, he has all these mannequins set up, and it's punctuated by the fact that we finally learn that Kit Carson is a true gunslinger. When he draws his guns and just blasts, like every shot's a headshot. Like you're like, holy fucking shit. So like the ending of the movie for me, yes, it's shocking the first time, but the second time I'm like, it is such a payoff because they showed us in this scene that Kit Carson is the real fucking deal. And the fact that he fucks up the first time because he forgets he has the blanks, in and everything.
Yeah,
like,
that's amazing.
Shit. You think that's it. Like, oh crap. But this is such like the ending, tying the two scenes together. The ending is such a payoff for what we see here because he is the fucking real deal gunslinger. And the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, I really do like that ending. Story-wise, it's not what you're expecting, but when you think about how the film it portrays everything, I love that. But David, what do you think about Kit Carson's shooting range / apartment?
Absolutely insane. Just that second, because I've seen some of these like LA apartment, LA factory apartments in films, and there's an I can't think which one it was. It's like Amityville something. There's an Amityville set in LA where the curse is passed on to something in an apartment block, and I thought that was like pretty insane, that place, because it was huge. But seeing this, it's just like Did people actually live like this? Have you seen this for yourselves in real life?
Is like what we saw.
Yes.
Well, not a gun range, but
not
like
a gun
just,
range, but
it kind of for me. I look at that and it's like he's living in the corner of a factory.
Yeah,
and he's got a shooting range in a factory. That's insane.
I have a friend in downtown LA. Did have a friend in downtown LA, photographer who had a house who lived in a factory like that, and. And I was like, "This is so creative. Cool. I want to live. I want to live there. I want to live there so bad."
I've partied at some like photographer places in the meat packing district, Zach, like we saw in Vice Squad, and it looked like that. Like it's a whole, it's a whole floor. They're living on a whole floor in a factory. It's wild, and that's what I love in these movies. I love seeing these very creative LA apartments, and I think you only find in LA.
And speaking of photography, because I want to point this out before I accidentally screwed over it, the DP, the director of photography in this, was Andrew Davis, who is the director of, well, this is his last movie that he was the DP of. He was the DP of Over the Edge, which we will cover on Pad eventually, which is a great exploitation film, teen exploitation. He's director of Above the Law, Under Siege, The Fugitive, for example. So, like, what a resume as well. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and I mean, the movie looks great, too, for being such a low-budget film and having, the constraints that they had with the camera that they used and everything. Now, the director did say that camera allowed them to do a lot of like shots in one day. He said one time like they even went through 10 pages in one day because the camera's so small and light that they could just pick up and change shots and everything
Wow.
like that. David, where take us somewhere else? Where, you know, from your notes, what else have we not hit yet? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know, really. I think I kind of got it. I kind of got it all out with like, that's how I felt. That's genuinely how I felt about that ending. But then going back and seeing it again this time, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it. I think it, like what you were saying again then, Corey, like that ending is it is a satisfying ending, but not the ending you expect to have for this film. But I think that says everything about the film. I think it's a film that you, even from that moment when you look at the poster, and then you actually start seeing the first few minutes of the film. And I think you said, Zach, that, or was it Corey, when you said like, the music doesn't really match what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Angel does. I think it just keeps surprising you into being, oh, okay, so we're going here with this. We're going here with this. This is the quality of it. This is the level this is going to be. Because it's got some depth to it. And it's got some emotion to it. And I mean, you look at that poster, and I mean, you think one thing when you look at that poster.
It's going to be a sleaze
yeah.
movie. It's just a sleaze film.
Yeah,
I think the one thing you talked about, though, David and Corey, both, you know, in the ending being not expected, it's tough when you slap a poster like that up of one person, so it's all about her. The name of the movie is all about her, but then the ending is a little bit of like an ensemble where they all come together to defeat the bad guy versus the one person. It is a flip of the script. You know, because I think of, and I mentioned it so many times before, John Carpenter movies where he's so great at ensembles, but it's not called MacReady. It's not called, you know, The Priest. It's all about these people coming together. So I think you pigeonhole yourself a little bit when you call it Angel and you make a poster about one particular person. It sells it better. I'm sure it sells it better. But then you watch it and you're like, oh, but she should have been. Okay.
Well, what's funny,
cool.
I mean, she is like
fourth
fourth.
Sales. Sorry.
I was just gonna say she is like fourth build, you know, in the movie. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah, like you go on IMDb and you have to literally scroll over to get to Angel.
Right.
I mean, the same argument you could say. Like we've been comparing Savage Streets. I mean, that I don't even remember what Linda Blair's character name was in that. But like,
it doesn't matter.
Does it matter? It doesn't matter, does it? Because by the end of it, everything's been about her character. And I mean, the poster builds up Angel as the main character. In Savage Streets, it builds up Linda Blair as the main character.
Right.
And then it lets you down completely. This
Well,
is why
yeah.
It does. It does.
No, it does.
Yeah, it does. It's sad. It lets you down. But I think the film of Savage Streets sets you up that you're thinking that Linda Blair's the main character. And she is, but she doesn't fulfill that role satisfactorily as being a main character. She doesn't really solve her own problems at the end of it. She kind of runs away from them and it hurts it. But with Angel, with that poster sets you up to think this is 100% you are following Angel, but it's
right.
not. It's not. And I think that's the difference. I think if you'd have given it a different title, if you'd have just called it like I don't know, LA Story, LA Strip, LA whatever, do you know what I mean? If you'd have called it like something generic, like Street Walking, and there's another one from 1986 called Working Girls. If you'd have called it Working Girls, that would have been fine. And then you wouldn't have put so much on Angel having the arc that we're talking about, that we've fantasized in our minds how it should have been.
How about Broken Dreams? Call it Broken Dreams.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yeah.
I do want to point out a couple of things that I noticed in the background. Did you guys see the Return of the Jedi marquee? That was cool. Blue Thunder. See a Blue Thunder marquee back there.
Right.
But did you guys see the Prince of Darkness church in the background? It's in the climax scene when they're running down the street right before they get to the alley. You see the Prince of Darkness church down the street.
Yes.
No.
David, did you notice it?
No, I didn't notice it.
I mean, I only noticed it because Corey sent a picture and it's like, do you guys see the church? Is that the church? I'm like, yes.
I became the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you know, pointing at the screen.
Yeah, and it is cool, especially if you're not familiar with Los Angeles, you know, landscape and Yeah, landscape. Just the makeup of what the city looks like and how all over the place everything is in many movies from the 80s. Like, wait a minute. And then you come to visit and you're like Corey did. Oh, wait, I just want to go down. I'm in UCLA. I could just walk down the street and I should be on Hollywood Boulevard. Wrong, as Corey would say. This movie does keep everything pretty tight. I don't know where they shot the school scenes at. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that
it
looked
looks
like North Hollywood or something like that.
It reminded me a little bit of, there's a private school off of Sunset in Brentwood that It reminded me of. Like, that might have been the location because at least on IMDb, they don't list that location specifically of the school. Maybe the school didn't want to know about it after the movie came out. They're like, no, we don't want to be associated with this. We don't do that sort of thing here. Our jocks are very pure and innocent.
Yeah, because
our
I didn't
jocks
kind of
are
notice.
unrapey at this school. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I guess I kind of maybe looked down or I missed it. I thought she was still in Hollywood, but no, it's like a private school that's outside of Hollywood, and she just picked up the school bus in Hollywood to go to it. So yeah, I took it as like Brentwood or
off of
North
Mulholland
Hollywood
somewhere.
Yeah, something like that, because it was much more green up there.
Yeah, if for those that are not familiar with this area of Los Angeles, 14 miles is a huge distance in Los Angeles. It may not be in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, but here in Los Angeles, 14 miles, it'll take you like 3 or 4 hours to get to sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've got a question for you. Do you think Angel would have benefited from a female director? Streetwalking, female director. Working Girls, female director. Do you think this would have been different with a female director?
I think it would have been different, but again, this movie has such a sweet soul to it that I didn't. You know what? I bet the high school girl shower scenes maybe would have been taken out or filmed differently, maybe so there wasn't so much poor girls' bushes walking around and everything, like fully naked. Like, I think those scenes would have been different, but I think he was really respectful to the underbelly, the prostitutes and the streetwalkers and the misfits. I thought he was very respectful to them. I think that we would have maybe gotten a little bit more respect for the high school girls.
Yeah, and I think because they could easily have just edited the nudity out, but kept the importance of those scenes in, because those scenes clearly show what she wants in her life, but she's never going to get it.
Right. It just happens to have these poor girls walking around like butt-ass naked. And I'm just like, it's like, I was watching, like, you want this movie to be sleazy so bad. And that's kind of like my takeaway was that's what the producers wanted. And then he snuck this really well-made character movie in that has this like sweet core to it. But the producers wanted something much more sleazy that they could just sell to the grindhouse theaters and stuff like that, But David, what would your take be if you think, what do you think a female director would have done maybe differently?
See, I don't think there would have been that much. I think if you had just completely fooled me and taken like the director's name off and put a female name in there, I would have said, oh yeah, I can definitely tell that a female directed this film, a woman directed this film. Definitely. Because it's everything. There's just like a sweetness, there's a soulfulness there. Where normally, like something like this, you'd expect that 100% exploitation sleaze factor to be dripping. Like Vice Squad is just like sleaze all over it, isn't it? Covered.
Yeah.
Like frosting over the whole film. But it's not here in this. And to what you're saying, Corey, about like, yeah, that nudity in there, street walking is, like I say, female director, but there's still a lot. It was like she knew the audience she was making that film for, and there's lots of nudity in there with it. There's a ton. There's probably more in that than there is in this, which is kind of interesting. But I just think it's a really well-rounded film. I think they just hit tonally. Everything kind of hits it how it should do. And like I say, like that, you can feel with the high school scenes, that kind of TV movie of the week biting at the edges. It's getting a bit melodramatic with the music and the tone, but it shies away from it really quickly, and it gets back to the stuff that's important.
And I also
no, carry on, please.
No, and I also want to point out that when you guys have been bringing up the producers is Donald. One of the producers is Donald Borchers, and this is a New World film. I think New World went on to become New Line Cinema right down the road.
No. New World was I can't think who brought it up. I don't think New World became New Line Cinema, did it?
It did not, so it was his own separate production company.
Roger Corman owned it, and then he sold it, didn't they?
That's right. It became New Horizons, I think.
New Horizons.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sorry, new one of those new things. He also produced Vamp, Tough Turf, Crimes of Passion, which is another good kind of like exploitation movie. Children of the Corn. Beastmaster, and Two Moon Junction.
Oh, Two Moon Junction. Okay, so
you talk about exploitation.
Yeah, he does have a sleazy streak to him. But yeah, I mean, just to kind of wrap everything up, I know we said it a million times, but yeah, I thought this movie was awesome. It's a different kind of film, and I think it's a kind of movie where it demands multiple viewings. Like, I mean, David said it, I said it, and I think Zach agrees. It's like,
I'll say it.
Yeah, there you go. You watch it the first time, you're like, oh. Like, it doesn't adhere to all these stereotypical beats that you're expecting from a movie. Like, you know, like we said, we expected Angel to get the killing blow at the end and stuff like that. But when you actually sit back and you watch it again and you're not as shocked by those things, you see the pieces are already there. And I think it's a well-made film. And it hits, like David said, it hits all the nice, fun tone. I mean, it does have its, nudity. It does have its sleaze and everything. But the director also put in all these sweet moments, like Yo-Yo Charlie being upset that, the one, prostitute was killed and everything like that. And the movie allows these characters to have those moments. And I think that that's what really elevates the film, to this a special level. And I can totally see why, David, you like this. I can totally see why Grace likes this and why it has such a cult following. It's a really well-made movie focusing on some interesting characters, and it does all the characters justice. I mean, there's very little. Rick and his little gang of sleazebags are probably the most like stereotypical cardboard cutout type of characters that you also don't really care, about. But every other character, especially all the streetwalkers and whatnot, the movie just does a great job representing them. And David, you said it, there's a lot of soul, a lot of heart to this film. And yeah, I think it's amazing. And the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray looks awesome. And so if you like this, definitely pick that up. Zach, final thoughts? We'll let David have the final thoughts.
Fine. Yeah, I echo that all and what you said. It's nice to see that little scumbag Wayne also get a little second scene where he's basically asking how much Angel charges.
I saved up $23.
Yeah. And by the way, I feel like that look, that nerdy kind of Melvin the Mop Boy look, gets recreated in Just One of the Guys. Because there's a nerdy guy that asks Terry out on a date at the end of the movie, and she's already got a date or whatever. She's with Clayton Runner at that point. But I'm like, that was like such a quintessential stereotype too. That nerdy blonde-haired Corey is like nodding his head and going, "Yep, that was me." Yep. But yeah, and I feel like this movie is, that it gets overused all the time, but it's kind of like a hidden gem. I think a lot of people will forget this movie when they think about exploitation, street movies in Los Angeles, and it definitely has enough to cater to people that are not interested in exploitation. Like, they'll still watch it and go, okay, there's a lot of redeeming things about this movie versus it being pure sleaze. There are plenty of pure sleaze movies in the 80s in Hollywood. Most of them wind up in the theater that John Diehl, the killer, is watching, like borderline porn. This is not one of them. It's got nudity, but like shit, every movie in the 80s that involved teens that was rated R, it had nudity. That's why it was rated R. So, I don't have any problem with what's shown. I just think, like, overall, it kind of checks all the boxes off, like Corey said. So, yeah, for me, it checked all the boxes. And from one angel to another, this is it was a fun ride.
David, final thoughts, buddy.
I think this movie is, like you're saying, very sweet, very sentimental, very heartfelt film. Zach just reminded me then when he said about when people watch it for the first time. I remember showing this to Roxy, and she saw the cover, and she's like, "I'm not watching that." I was like, "Yeah, you have to watch this. Yeah, you have to watch this." She goes, "I think I've seen it already." Just looking at the cover, and I was like, "No." And she watched the thing, and she was like, "Do you know what? I really like that." And she said, if I'd have watched that as a kid, I would have liked that as a kid, like as a young girl, like as a teenager. If I'd have seen that, It would have been something that I would have really kind of connected with. And I think the poster did its job, but I don't think the poster did it justice. And I think I think more people should be introduced to Angel. And if you like Angel, I would definitely check out, like I say, like Angel was 84, Street Walking is 85, and Working Girls is 86. And I think as a triple bill to sit down and watch those and just see how this kind of idea progressed from Angel, because there's a lot of connections between those films. I think that'd be a good triple bill. It's a good night in by yourself, and you don't have to pay $23 for them, if you know what I mean.
Is that the going rate? Is that what it goes?
That's the going rate, apparently. Apparently. Not that I know this, just word on the street.
Is it a quid? How much pounds does it cost?
Is it 23 quid to have a night with you, Angel? That sounds like paradise.
And circling back to what David said earlier, like watching movies and going, oh, is this what it's like in California? Is this what it's like, when he's across the pond? Everything I thought was that John Cleese literally lived everywhere in the UK, because I'm like, John Cleese has got to be everywhere in the UK, right? He's in every show.
We talk honest to God, yeah. We talk about it a lot. We always talk, like, we go to places like Roxy and I go out the weekend. We go somewhere, and there's things that, like, if I drive like 5 miles down the road, it looks like a Hammer horror film. You've got like castles and these giant manor houses. I don't always say like Zak and Corey, like where they live, they don't live anywhere near anything like this. This is just like a completely foreign land to them. Like, they're so different to LA.
I want the moors. I want moors. I want the moors.
This is here. Like, I go driving and I can see these things. It's not that far away. But that's what I mean about, like, you looking at LA for this film. It's just like it's something I'm so not used to. It's like a completely different world.
Yeah.
And that's where I live, over here in Great Britain, where the skies are grey.
Yeah, David's got a TARDIS. He's got a police box, and he's got a little canine, and yeah.
Look, kids,
he's got a Blue Peter. Look, kids, big man, with his Blue Peter.
Everything I know about the UK, I got from European Vacation.
Yeah, that works too.
It's kind of true. Some of the things in there, like, yeah, that is kind of true. Especially the bit with Eric Idle and he's like getting run over. Oh, no problem. Sorry about that.
The blood spurting out.
I've seen things like that happen. Like, people just get knocked on their ass and apologize for it. Oh, sorry about that. That's what you do.
Bonjour, my good man.
Oh shit. Well, David, I'm glad we got a chance to finally cover Angel on the show. It was awesome. It's always awesome talking to you, buddy, and everything.
Yeah, you too.
Where can everyone find your horror novels?
Well, you can find my horror novels on Amazon. Just look my name up, David Irons, horror writer, on there. We might as well bring it up now that I'm the showrunner for a podcast that I featured on and Corey's featured on, and Zak is going to feature on.
I will be, yes, guaranteed.
You will be, yeah. Where I introduce real life ghost stories, which is called Let Me Tell You a Scary Story, and that is everywhere on Spotify and Apple, and it's perfect for the spooky season right now.
It's literally all about David injuring himself, and all the all the podcast is.
Corey recorded an episode recently, the scariest 911 call you've ever heard, and and it's got the real 911 call in there.
Oh, cool! Oh, you put it in there, nice.
Corey. Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, and that did gangbusters. That did really, really well.
Cool. Oh, nice.
So, yeah, check that out. Yeah, the scariest 911 call you've ever heard. That's a good episode.
I'll put the link in the show notes, and also the link to David's Amazon page. You can pick up some of his awesome horror novels. David, what's the newest one you have on there? What's the latest horror novel?
I think it was I had like 3 come out in a month.
I know.
yeah. That was so I think it was Deadmore, wasn't it? Because you grabbed that, didn't you? You tagged me on Instagram. Yeah, Deadmore.
Yeah.
Or it was the novelization of Shredder Orpheus.
Orpheus.
Yeah, I think that was the one, Shredder Orpheus. Yeah, that was the last one. Around April time, something like that. Yeah.
You've
go grab Shredder if you like. Yeah. Go grab Shredder Orpheus if you like punk, heavy metal, hellbound skateboarding movies.
And Zak, what's going on in November on $2 Late Fee?
Oh, baby. We have, I mentioned him earlier in the program, James Liu. I had him in studio. James Liu, martial arts phenom and star of Big Trouble in Little China, Perfect Weapon, Best of the Best, Time Cop. Like, we talk about all those stories that he's got and more in a one-on-one interview I did with him. And Grace will be joining. Dustin's back as well for Big Trouble in Little China. We're going to be covering Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, it's the 39th anniversary, but you'll have to listen to the episode and find out why we had to do it in November versus 2026. It'll make more sense if you just listen to the episode. You'll find out.
Yeah, I actually reached out to Grace to be on this, but she was doing something super awesome. I can't remember what it was right now, but she's got something going on today that was really cool. Oh, I think she's doing something with seeing John Carpenter again or something. So she's always got something amazing happening.
Grace she's busy, and grateful to have her on $2 late fee. Grateful for everybody that's been, my revolving door of co-host, and David will be a revolving door co-host at one point on $2 late fee in the very near future.
Yeah, apparently I am.
Surprise!
Thanks for telling me, Zach. Thanks for reminding me
You're
of
welcome.
that thing you've never told me before.
Surprise! Zing!
100%. Bring me on.
It's happening. It's coming. It's coming.
That's okay. Well, David, it's always a blast having you on, brother, and chat these movies, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to cover Angel. And give us your best. You got to give us your Loomis, man. You got to give us your Loomis. And as always,
I'll catch you on the dark side.
Eggs.
I'll be sucking eggs on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.